26-21. They advanced to 2-0 in the season. 2 road wins. The 49ers are heading back to Santa Clara this Sunday against the Cardinals. And Mac Jones played a heck of a game. And we're going to get all that in right now. What's going on, Rich? How you doing, dude?
Cole, I'm doing great, man. Happy with a nice W.
Yeah. So just what are your initial thoughts of this game, dude?
I felt like Mac Jones did his job, played well. And the thing that was cool about it is Kyle trusted him. So that was kind of cool. He really threw a lot of trust in him in the game. Defense was kind of up and down the whole game, but they were really opportunistic at the end. That's the high level, quick shot of the game. I mean, I thought they started off great. Second and third quarter, they were a little squirrely here and there. Renardo Green had a little trouble a couple times. And then at the end, I mean, Bosa and Huff just, did what they do. They finished the game.
Yeah.
Michael Williams was a force to be reckoned with, which I was pretty excited about. It's nice to see someone from this draft class, shine so early. Him and Upton Stout. I mean, it's a beautiful thing, and it's awesome. Loving it.
You can already see how much they're taking steps forward and everything. Mac Jones, he was 26 for 39 on pass attempts, 3 touchdown passes in his 49ers debut, 279 yards passing, had 3 sacks on the day, but 0 interceptions, and he had that 1 fumble. What were your takeaways for Mac Jones in his first start as a Niner?
I thought he was great, and Kyle trusted him. That's the biggest thing. I'll say it again. He dropped back 45 times. Do I want to see that? Not really. 45 dropbacks on a quarterback in a Kyle Shanahan offense that's supposed to be ball control and running. Thought it was a lot, but again, it showed. Kyle showed a lot of trust in him. Let him do a lot of things. He threw the ball well. He started off a little shaky, but he really had control of the offense. That was the thing that you really got to see about that. Because I mean, take those 4 misses up front off, and he's what? 26 of 36 or 35. Yeah. It even looks better. It even looks better, and he executed the offense perfectly. I graded last night on another pod that I was on, the 24/7 one, and I basically gave him an A-, and it was strictly for the fumble.
Yeah,
it was an A, but it was A- because of the fumble. And what I liked about him afterwards at the press conference is even if it was McKivit's fault, he didn't do it. He said, "Hey, that was me. That was me. That's leadership." And I thought it was really, really nice play by him. It was really good to just say, "Hey, throw it on me. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about Kivitz."
Yeah, I like how you brought that up. He showed the accountability at the end of the game. And that was going into this game I was really concerned about, because we saw him just in his entire career that he tends to hold on to the ball a little too long. And we saw that with the strip sack fumble. But other than that, for the most part, I mean, he was getting the ball out on time. I forgot it was Shanahan, or I think it was Christian McCaffrey at the beginning of the week, says that he just knows how to run Shanahan's system well. And it's just, I think it's so funny how we're 4 years later out of the 2021 draft, and I think potentially, basically, you could say Kyle Shanahan got his guy that he really wanted, because there was a whole bunch of speculation at that 2021 draft that he was Mac Jones because he was, NFL ready, and we had a Super Bowl ready roster, but they decided to go with Trey Lance.
Yeah, and he's a carbon copy of guys he's had good luck with, though. He had good luck with Matt Schaub, and he had good luck with Matt Ryan, and I'll tell you, he is basically just like those two guys. He's not super mobile enough. And mobile enough to move in the pocket, not necessarily, even though he did have a run. And then has the arm to execute the offense. I mean, that throw, that 45-yard or whatever it was touchdown to Juwan.
Yeah,
he 42. Threw that ball. He threw Juwan open. That was the part about that was the most amazing part, is he threw him open.
Yeah.
That I don't know that Brock Purdy can do that, actually. I don't think he can make that throw.
Yeah, he's got a better arm than Brock for sure, and I
Yep.
think you could see that round one quarterback out of him, and I think that's what Shanahan does best with some of these quarterbacks is he knows how to play to their strengths and he can make them confident. And I was reading some stuff on Twitter and everything like after the game because before this game I was saying that the 49ers, if they're going to win it, it's going to be a run heavy game. Get Christian McCaffrey involved early, and the 49ers did the complete opposite. Shanahan threw 3 straight at the beginning of this game, and it was a 3 and out. Mac Jones didn't look comfortable. I think he said at the end it was some nerves. But I think that was probably Shanahan's way of saying we're going to try to make Mac Jones feel comfortable early, because this is his first start since last season, I guess, on the Jags. But
and it was crazy to see Kyle do that. I thought the Seattle game plan was going to be it. It was going to be run CMC, 15 to 20 times, Robinson, maybe 10, maybe, 6 to 10, and maybe whoever the third back was in might get a couple of carries.
Yeah.
He 180'd it. He 180'd it. But I mean, the guys, I think I had the stats. I think Pearsall 4 for 56.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously JJ was 5 for 89 and a touchdown. My boy Jake Tonjes, 4 for 31, and he played fullback after Juice went out. I was pretty happy. That was he was my preseason, crush on the team, and he's just been balling out. I love it.
Yeah, I love Jake Tonjes too, and I know you talked about it before. He's got that versatility, so he can play the fullback spot. And with Juice out now with the injury, with the concussion, we can kind of see how we don't need Juice for much longer, if we have Jake Tonjes out there, because I like him. He's after that week 1 win with him. He's my new crush for the season.
Yeah, it was for me. It was that Raiders preseason game when I watched him out there lead block and playing fullback, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy is a tight end, and he ends up being an H-back, which is almost an extinct position in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
But to have that flexibility and roster flexibility with players, especially with where we're getting right now with our tight ends and our wide receivers. We're going to be, we went from being wide receiver deficient in training camp to now where we're looking fat, and there might be we're going to have to let some good guys go.
Yeah, especially when like Demarcus Robinson comes back. We'll probably have to get rid of MVS. He had, I think, 1 target in this game actually compared to last week. But
0 last week, 1 this week.
Last week too, just with Christian McCaffrey getting 29, 31 touches or whatever. How surprised were you that he's only had 13 rushes? Brian Robinson only had 6, and McCaffrey ran for 50 yards. He played good, but the game plan was totally throw centric,
Yeah, and it was, and it's funny because this is exactly, for me, this is the game plan of how you keep CMC healthy for the whole season.
Mm-hmm.
13 carries for 55 yards, 6 grabs for 52. So 100, a little over 100 total yards of offense out of him. Not damaged. And it was funny because I didn't think he looked like himself against the Seahawks, and I felt like against the Saints he looked like himself.
Mm-hmm.
He made this one jump cut. He was running to the right, and he just hit this jump cut and cut it right left. I don't even remember what series or whatever, but I saw the play and I went, ooh, that's him. That's back, CMC. Yeah, that's CMC.
Mm-hmm. Did you imagine Mac Jones playing this well going into this game? And did you have a prediction? Did you think the Niners were going to win this game with him?
I thought they'd win. I didn't think they'd win the way they did.
Mm.
I thought it was going to be ball control. And if I was looking at the stats, I thought Mac would have had a Jimmy game. It would have been 16 to 25 for 225 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah.
And CMC would have 2 rushing touchdowns and stuff like that. That's kind of how I thought his stat sheet would look like. I really didn't think Kyle would go out there and have him chuck the ball around.
Yeah.
45 dropbacks. Think about that. 45 dropbacks in a Kyle Shanahan offense.
Yeah, you don't see that with Brock Purdy out there. So I was surprised.
No.
He trusts Mac Jones, and that's what you like to see. And just continuing touching on Mac Jones, the 49ers signed him to a 2-year deal this offseason. And I think this is probably, out of anybody we signed this offseason, this is the greatest signing the 49ers could have done. And they did it just for this reason. If Brock Purdy was to get injured, you have a capable second-string quarterback that can win you some games. And my dad talked about it with me before. He's like, this is kind of like when the 49ers had Steve Bono and Joe Montana got injured. He won you 2 games for you guys, for the Niners. And we see that with Mac Jones. He's a starting caliber quarterback, and he got the second week win for the Saints against the Saints.
Yeah, and you want look if Brock was out 5 weeks, you feel confident that we're going to get 3 wins. We're going
Hmm.
to get wins out of him, which is cool. It's good. I mean, it's because it's been a while since. I mean, gosh, I'm trying to think now. Probably 3 seasons since the Niners have had a backup quarterback where if the starter is out, you go, okay, we can win this game.
Hmm.
You mean last year was horrible. I
Yeah,
mean,
with Josh
between
Dobbs and Brandon Allen.
oh my gosh, that was just horrific.
Yeah.
As soon as Brock went down, you're like L.
I would
You
have liked
know,
them to start Josh Dobbs over Brandon Allen though, because he showed some sparks of like life because he was able to use his legs more than Brandon Allen. Brandon Allen just like looked stone footed out there.
not in
And
this offense though. This offense is not quarterback run. It's just not. Even though he tried it with Trey and stuff like that, it's just not. You still have to be able to make a layered throw, and and Dobbs, he just did not have that in him at all.
yeah.
It was rough. He's if I was Josh Dobbs and when I was young in the NFL, I would have switched to receiver because he's not going to be a quarterback. It's like
Yeah.
I love those quarterbacks who become receivers because they're usually pretty smart,
Hmm.
and the route running is usually better and stuff like that. I feel like athletically that probably would have been a better play for him if he, I get he's a super bright guy. I do know that,
Yeah,
but
astronaut,
it's
a pastronaut.
yeah, yeah, but at the same time, I'm looking at him and I'm like, dude, you don't have the skill set to play quarterback at a
Right.
at a high NFL level. And
Hmm.
I mean, to me, he's a scout team quarterback at best.
And even I think he did win a couple games when I forgot who went down. I think on the Vikings, he won like 2 games for them or something like that. But then eventually defenses figured him out. He just wasn't going based off of just scrambling and throwing things in the air and everything. But yeah, I agree with that evaluation about him.
He's like the offense would be called the Chuck and Duck, and it's like, oh no, because he's really good with his feet and he can keep a play alive, but he can't finish the play.
Yeah, I agree. That 2-minute drive that Mac Jones had at the end of the first half, I thought that was the most impressive thing he did all Sunday. I think McCaffrey talked about at the end of the game. It's like this is like the Shanahan offense is already complex, but he was just talking about how even their 2-minute drill is like super complex, and Mac Jones perfectly like had that drive. They drove all the way down. They scored a touchdown at the end of the half, and that was to Christian McCaffrey at the end with the
Yeah.
touchdown, I think. Yeah, and I mean, what are your thoughts on that 2-minute drive? I thought he executed it perfectly.
So the biggest piece for that is Kyle doesn't usually run a 2-minute offense,
Hmm.
at least up tempo. They don't usually run up tempo offense. So that was the part about it that was most surprising, because usually when they're doing 2 minute, they're still in and out of the huddle and
Right.
it's slow and it's too long. You're always going, come on, up the tempo, up the tempo. And
Yeah.
with Mac, they really did. And it was very impressive. It was very impressive. I
Hmm.
felt like that's the first time in a while that I felt like Kyle was in his bag a little bit.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I mean, that was just a huge drive too, because we were up at that point 9-7, I think. So that put us at, was it 16-7 at the end of the half, or
Yep.
was it yeah, 16-7. So I mean, you don't have that drive at the end, and you're looking at a different game, I think, for the 49ers. And we had the ball at the beginning of the second half too, and I think that one ended up being a 3-and-out. So it was one of
Yeah.
the biggest drives in the game, I think.
No, and they were trying to double up there too, and that was the part that was the I don't want to call it disappointing, but it was like, oh, wasting opportunities here,
Yeah.
wasting opportunities.
Yeah. Let's change to the other side of the ball here. And towards the end of this game, at the end of this game, Bryce Huff with the strip sack. And I think this defensive line it's already shown how much they're going to attack these offenses. And we saw it last week with Bosa finishing out the game. We have two finishers, it seems like two closers on this 49ers defense. And the defensive line as a whole impressed this whole game. But what were your takeaways from Bryce Huff, just the signing with him and the strip sack he had at the end of the game?
I love the sign because he wasn't a scheme fit. He wasn't a scheme fit with the Eagles. That was just it. He just wasn't a scheme fit. They tried to get him to play stand up outside linebacker, and it's just not where he is. He needs to have his hands in the ground and break out like a sprinter. And that's his skill set. And
Yeah.
and and I love the way this team is maximizing his abilities.
Hmm.
It's been really good. The whole line has been fantastic. Clea Davis is playing well. Michael Williams had a game that will not show up on the stat sheet.
Yeah.
He was disruptive. He was pushing guys around, and he's making it possible for Bosa and Huff to be able to, make things happen. He's like the unsung hero right now with all that stuff. And the fact that he's 21 years old, it's amazing. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
There's so many overreactions I saw from last week after the game. Everyone was like, Mykal Williams, 11th overall pick. He did nothing. But, he didn't have a preseason for the most part. He was kind of injured. And on the stat sheet this week, 5 tackles, 3 pressures, and 2 tackles for losses. He was showing why the 49ers drafted him, and that was to solidify the run game. He did great at run tackling and setting that edge for the Niners.
The best part about him is the fact that he's so young that when he goes to renegotiate his contract, you're going to get him all of that contract. You're going to get him in his prime.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time when a guy becomes a free agent and he's getting that mega contract, usually you're catching the guy at his peak or at the beginning of him descending as a player.
Yeah.
I think it's so fantastic. You're going to be able to get this guy while he's still ascending. That's the part that is so, cool about the position the team's in with him. He's really impressive.
Yeah, I'm really liking him. And just touching on again that just the 49ers finally have closers. I feel like compared to last year, you could say Nick Bosa is a closer, but he didn't really have the help that I feel like he's already had in these past 2 games, because that's what he's here for. And 2 weeks in a row now, Bosa had it last week, and even the drive before the last drive, Bosa had the game or the drive ceiling sack, I think it was a sack right before this last drive. So I think it's just a complete difference, and it's great to have 2 edge rushers so they could be going at the same time. In this last drive, I noticed, I was watching it back today, Bosa wasn't even on the edge in this last drive or on that last play. He was actually on the inside.
He was lining up in the B, I think the A or the B gap and coming in through there because Salah's moving all those guys around.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool. So you can't really tell where they're coming from or who's going to come. He's really using a lot of, technique and misdirection and stuff like that to scheme guys open for to make some plays. It's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fun watch when you see what they're doing.
Yeah, and you can just tell the total difference from the 2019 solid defense. That was so good. We just lost Rich there a little bit. Oh, he's back. Can you hear me, Rich? I think someone's calling him again. This happened last time. He's going to have to put his phone on Do Not Disturb. But like I was saying, yeah, he'll be back in a second, guys. But I lost my train of thought. Oh, Robert Saleh's defense. Let me add him back. Phone call?
Sorry about that. Yeah, phone call popped in. I'm like,
Do Not Disturb.
Oh, I got to figure out how to do that. Yeah, I'll put that in there.
But anyway, I was just talking about how Robert Saleh's defense from 2019 to today, you can just see how much it's evolved and just the creativity he's using and just the packages. But also, I don't know if you noticed, but I was like, I think it was earlier on in the game when I saw Jair Brown in there. I was like, why is he in there? And I noticed they didn't have 3 linebackers, the big nickel. That's something that's very unique. And having that extra added speed on the defense at times, I think it worked out perfect. And Jair Brown had a pass breakup in that one of those plays.
Yeah, Tig played really well. It was what it's good is you're putting guys in position to succeed. You're like, hey, look, this is what you do well.
Yeah.
This is what you're going to do. And one of the biggest things, just to kind of jump on your Saleh bit a little bit there, the biggest thing about Saleh is he didn't blitz a lot then.
Right.
He didn't blitz a lot now, and now he's blitz heavy. In his time with the Jets and stuff like that, you saw him just gradually kind of move over from, playing a lot of base to now jumping in and having a real, even Upton Stout. Come on, blitzing Upton Stout. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. That's how I was hoping when we drafted him that's the way we would use him. And it was cool because he can get lost in the shuffle because he's so little. And he can just squirt gaps.
He's like, remember K'Wan Williams, our last nickel cornerback? That's what he reminds me of. And I'm happy we're fine because K'Wan Williams had a couple sacks on him, whatever year it was, 2019 or something like that. So we finally have a nickel cornerback like that with Upton Stout. First sack of his career.
He reminds me of Bob Sanders from the Colts.
Really?
Because he's so little. Bob Sanders was so little, but hit like a truck.
Yeah.
And was great in coverage. So it's like he's like Bob Sanders all over again.
And I think Spencer Rattler, he's more of a mobile quarterback, and the Niners have had a history of not being so great defending mobile quarterbacks like Kyler Murray, who we're facing next week. And I thought they did a great job at containing him for the most part. Rattler's not the best quarterback. Obviously, he hasn't had a single NFL win. But I thought they did a great job covering him for the most part and not letting him use his legs so much.
He showed out in the second half.
Mm-hmm.
He showed out in the second half. He was moving around. We couldn't touch him.
Right.
And he'll get his win, and he'll do well. He'll do well. It's just going to take New Orleans fans, be patient with him because he's going to be your guy.
Yeah, I liked what I saw from him. And they had a couple drops in the game too. I think Jawan Johnson had like 3 drops. And then I think they had 7 penalties at one point. So, I mean, they're just poorly coached that game. But I think they have potential eventually. Not this year, but
I don't want to say poorly coached. I just want to say undisciplined.
I'd
rather say that because I don't want to throw the coach.
Being undisciplined, I feel like is part of coaching, you know?
I agree 100% because I feel like I've talked in other places about it. I'm like, look, we're not good enough as a team to commit these many penalties because
wasn't that last season our defense had so many penalties. I think Nick Sorensen, look at him, not a great defensive coordinator.
No, not at all.
Now we saw rookies like Upton Stout show out today Sunday, and Michael Williams, CJ West, and Alfred Collins. They barely had maybe 10 snaps each on the first week. They had 13 snaps for CJ West, 24 snaps for Alfred Collins. Do you see them taking over as starters by the end of the season?
I think so, because I think that's the goal. That's why you drafted them.
Right.
But it depends. I mean, if Kalia Davis is still balling out, it's going to be hard to push him out of the way. I think I want Collins in there because of his length. I think he can be disruptive for right-handed quarterbacks. Yeah. You line him up on the left side, he gets up there. If he can't go, his arms are up. Quarterback's got to change where he's going to throw the ball because he's going to be in the way. He's going to be in the way. CJ West, he's your classic tree stump run stuffer. You know, he's going to play a lot. I think he's going to end up playing. I think if someone gets hurt and he gets to play, he won't come off the field again. Whoever that player is they will not get their job back.
I love it.
With CJ West, he's going to destroy fools.
Yeah. And like the comparison, I think we talked about it during the preseason. He's kind of like that. He's got that DJ Jones kind of build.
He's a tree stump. I mean, he's 6 foot tall and 350 pounds.
Yeah.
Try to move him.
He didn't have any stats, I think, but Alfred Collins had two total sacks, I think, on the day. So yeah, but yeah, the added snaps that they had, I'm happy for it, and you see how Shanahan and Saleh they trust him more than week 1, obviously.
Yeah, and as the season goes on, I think it's one of those deals. I mean, this is still, you know, I would say even week 1 was probably still, let's call it preseason, you know, because they're still trying to, you know, figure stuff out. And I figure by the Rams or the Bucks game, you're gonna see a totally different team as far as the combinations, the adjustments, the scheme fits of the players on and how they're going to use them. It's all going to change over the next 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah, I agree with that. We could flip it back over. I just want to talk about Mac Jones again. He played great, obviously. Brock Purdy with the toe turf kind of injury. Do you think Brock Purdy's kind of nervous if Mac Jones continues to ball out? We're going to add a little quarterback controversy in here. Do you think Mac Jones could eventually take over Brock Purdy's job?
The short answer is no. Brock needs to worry more about getting healthy and not trying to rush himself back and do something stupid and have a setback. The Niners made the commitment to him. You know, he's got the big contract. Nobody's going to want that contract, so he's not tradable.
Right.
I mean, really, what I feel like what Mac's job here is basically what Darnold did. Go here, get your stock up, go somewhere else and ball out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's really what I see as the Mac plan. And the fact that we signed him for 2 years is fantastic because we've got control. Yeah. You know, if you know, right now, I mean, if I was the Bengals, maybe you make a call to the Niners and say, hey, is Mac Jones available?
Mm-hmm. I just saw JJ McCarthy go down for 2 to 4 weeks also in Minnesota, but
Burrow's gonna be out 3 months.
But he's gonna be out like that's the entire season almost.
Yeah. So when you look at that, I mean, if you're saying, hey, we want to win now, maybe they throw a pick. You know, they throw a pick at us and we can do something with it. You know, I mean, you know, selfishly, I'd like to keep him around just because as a fan, you're going to be able to win games with him if,
Hmm.
for as long as Brock's out. I would, because personally, I would sit Brock for this game.
I'd set him for the
Um,
Jags game too.
I'd sit him for the Jags game too, and
Yeah.
then bring him back from the Thursday night game against the Rams.
Hmm.
Unless Mac is balling out and you want to ride the hot hand,
Yeah.
and then if Brock's not perfect, if he's not absolutely perfect, then you bring him out. But if he's not, it's a luxury. It's a complete luxury to be able to say, hey, Brock, get it right.
Hmm.
Don't try to rush back. Don't do anything stupid. Your job's safe.
Right.
But
Yeah.
it's gonna be all the content creators that want to,
Yeah, and I had to throw that
swirl
out there
around.
because that's what everyone's doing. So I was like, we gotta at least have the conversation since everyone else is having it. I agree. Brock Purdy's job is safe, and that it is a luxury. It's last season when Brock Purdy, I think he got injured too last year, but whatever.
Yep.
When Brock Purdy went down, it's like you're not winning games, and just having that luxury of knowing that you can have a capable quarterback out winning you games. Like your
Yep.
season isn't over, especially at the beginning of the year, which is what we saw with Jimmy G, when he went down after the torn ACL. It was at the second game. I was like, wow, this is just newly paid quarterback, and our season was down the drain. With Mac Jones, I'm like, all right, we can stay afloat. It was terrible. I remember going to school on that Monday, and all my friends were like, dude, what's wrong with you? I'm like, Jimmy Garoppolo's out for the season.
And Jimmy was never right after that with us either.
No.
That's the point. Until
Mentally
CMC showed
too.
up.
Yeah.
Until CMC showed up, because it was funny because I had mentioned that I can't remember if I mentioned it with you, that I was like, look, if Jimmy never got hurt in that Dolphin game,
Yeah, we were talking about that.
He's our quarterback right now.
Yeah.
And so I was having fun with that. And then somebody pointed out that the best 4 starts of Jimmy's career when CMC was on the team.
Mm-hmm. No, he was balling out.
He really was. He was playing well. So I think it's funny that CMC's really the X factor, not the quarterback as much.
Mm-hmm.
But he's been the X factor ever since he's been here.
Yeah, and just talking about X factors too, like Mac Jones, he had Juwan Jennings out there, good receiver, Ricky P, 2 good receivers, but then he had Kendrick Bourne. He was dealing with those 3 guys. And at the beginning of the season, I was really concerned with how our receivers were looking, at the very beginning of the year, but they played great, and even Kendrick Bourne had three catches on the day. How weird is that to see him back on the team, number 10 throwing to 84 again? Isn't that kind of funky?
It is. For me, I don't even know why we signed him. It was cool that he came in, got the 3 grabs, because to me, he and Juwan are the same player, so it's kind of redundancy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe Bourne still got a little bit more speed, but I don't know. I feel like they're the same guy. If you're going to go grab somebody who can, take the top off the defense,
Right.
or something like that.
I thought Jordan Watkins was going to be playing in this game, but I guess not, because he was available to go, but he was a healthy scratch.
Yeah, him and Nick Martin.
Yeah.
And I think it's because if you're not a starter and you don't play special teams, you're not going to be up for the game.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the problem. I think that's the reason Jordan James isn't up either. Exact same reason.
Right.
He's healthy. He's healthy now,
mm-hmm.
but doesntt play special teams,
right.
and it sucks because I feel like
I'd put him over
Garendo.
Put him in over Garendo for special teams. Garendo
absolutely
just doesn't do anything.
Hey, yeah. He's so buried in the depth chart now that I'd be surprised he gets 15 carries this year.
Yeah.
Unless somebody gets hurt.
Yeah, exactly. Knock on wood, though.
Yeah.
The 49ers offensive line, I thought, played a lot better than last week. Halfway point of the first week, the defense was rushing Brock Purdy 12 out of 17 dropbacks or whatever, but I don't think it was like that this game. Trent Williams was almost not going to play in this game. He was a game time decision. He decided to play, and I thought he had a good game overall. Ben Barch wasn't able to get through 8 snaps in this game. He ended up with 7 snaps and then hurt his ankle. It was a high ankle sprain, so he's going to be out for a couple weeks. So that means Connor Colby season. And I was looking at the stats there. He had 0 quarterback hurries, quarterback pressures allowed. So what do you think, Connor Colby? I think he's in for the long haul.
Ben Barch is now a backup.
Yeah.
I posted it on my Twitter. I said, look, Ben Barch is not getting this job back. He was standing. They showed him in the tunnel, a picture of him and Juice in the tunnel, him wearing a boot and Juice with the sunglasses on for the concussion. I'm like, well, Barch, that is your last time as a starter in the NFL, at least for this team.
Yeah.
You are a swing guard now.
Mm-hmm. It's I got the stats here for all the offensive linemen for pressures allowed. Jake Brendel had the most at 4. Colton McKivitz only had 1. Pooney had 1, and then the rest of them, Williams, Colby, and then Barch, who played 7 snaps, had 0. So it was a drastic change from week 1. I was surprised how well they actually played, and the Seahawks do have a good defense overall too. So I think that kind of plays a factor in.
Saints do too, though. Their
They
line's
do.
good.
That is true. That is true.
But
3 sacks.
Brendel, man, the sucky part about it is he's the center of the offense. He's the center. So when the center is getting destroyed, it just wrecks everything. I mean, when guys are flying through the A gaps because you can't take care of them. So now all of a sudden we have to either commit a running back to coming up. We've got to have either Tonjes or Farrell or somebody coming across to try to cross block and pick up the pieces, and it inhibits what Kyle can do when the line when the center of the line is that bad.
Yeah, and I don't know if eventually you can even move on from Brendel this year, because I don't know who's our backup center. I don't Drew Moss. No.
Yeah, but I thought it was Zakel, and he's sitting on the practice squad. So yeah. I don't even know who the backup center is right now.
He might get elevated though now if they put Ben Barch on the IR, because it's a high ankle sprain. So that's 4 to 6 weeks. You don't want a guy on the 53.
Oh yeah, I didn't see what the final on the injury was. So
I should probably bring that up. We just had the injury updates. I was going to bring that up at the beginning of the show.
Oh yeah, Kyle did that at 3:30, right? 3:30 your time.
Yeah, 3:30 my time. And usually they post it on YouTube, the live, but they didn't have it, which was weird. So I just had to go off of Twitter, like Matt Mayoko and all that. But Robert Beal Jr., the 49ers, he cleared waivers and they signed him back onto the practice squad.
Okay, yeah, I know who's going to pick him up.
Yeah, no one's going to pick him up. And then, the high ankle sprain, he's going to be out for a while for Ben Barch. And then Spencer Burford is going day-to-day with a knee injury as well, which I didn't even think he played.
He didn't even play.
Yeah, so that must have been a practice injury, or maybe he tweaked it on the sideline walking. I don't know.
So that means they're going to have to promote Austin Pleasance from the practice squad.
Yeah, either that or
he's worse than Burford.
No, absolutely. Oh, it is day to day though, so he could be potentially good to go.
Well,
hopefully we don't need him. Hopefully we don't need any left.
Hopefully we don't need him. That's. Oh.
Yeah, I'm not super excited about that one. Okay, we'll flip it here. 2 things before we end it. Talking about the rest of this game, 49ers versus Saints. Who was your dog of the week? Hang on here. It's dog of the week segment. We got to play this song. All right, give me your dog of the week.
Mykel Williams.
Okay.
Woof. Because he was so disruptive, and he made Huff and Bosa's day possible. He was so disruptive. He was everywhere. It's everything you wanted to see out of that guy. And I mean, I could even go up in stout too, but I think Mykel, he was just phenomenal.
Yeah, I love it.
He's living up to the hype.
Yeah, he is. After week 1, and there's so many. I just love how Instagram and all that, they blow all the narratives up. Like, oh, he's already a bust. It was week 1, guys, and I think he's only going to get better from here.
Those are stat sheet nerds that don't watch the games. I'm telling you, that's what it is.
Yeah, no, he does so much that you don't see on the stat sheet already.
Big time.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the obvious one here because I was just shocked how well he did. But I gotta go Mac Jones. 3 touchdown passes, 0 interceptions, and he just showed me that the 49ers season isn't over this early on. And so I'm just happy that the 49ers do have Mac Jones on this roster. I think it's the number 1 best signing this offseason, arguably. And he was 26 for 39 and just
279 and 3 touchdowns. I mean,
279.
Yeah, that's a really good day in this offense. Yeah, and I agree. That's why I went defense. I figured you were going to go Max, so I figured I'd go defense because I like I said, I'm loving Mykel Williams right now.
Yeah, he's a dog. And he's big and everything, so that's great. Okay, one little note here after this game that the Saints and the 49ers had. The 49ers history update. Kyle Shanahan shot up the rankings for the 49ers head coaches. He now ranks number 3 all time for most wins by 49ers head coach at 72 wins. And Rich, you've been around for a while, so you've seen tons of 49ers.
He just passed Shaw, right?
He just passed Shaw at number 3 now. The 2 biggest, I think it's Bill Walsh, and number 2, I believe, is George Seifert.
It's Seifert, yep.
So just out of your whole time being a 49ers fan, what can you compare Kyle Shanahan to? Like, how can you compare him compared to Bill Walsh, like the Bill Walsh era and the George Seifert era? Obviously, Shanahan hasn't won a Super Bowl, so you can't compare him in that status. But just he's the third most winningest 49ers head coach. So just what have you seen, and what are your thoughts on that?
So with Seifert, it's tough because Seifert was a defensive coach, so you
Mhm.
can't really compare him from a X's and O standpoint. So both on the other sides of the ball. Seifert was a long time Walsh coach, so basically, Walsh kind of passed the team over to Seifert, and Seifert did well. He was great. He basically said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it,
Yeah.
and ran that team extremely well. I mean, 2 Super Bowls. He basically was gifted one in the beginning, and then got the '94 one. Walsh, he was kind of I don't know, the easiest way. He wanted football to be like ballet.
It's a good comparison.
It was all about, you need to be here, you need to be there, and it was almost like synchronized swimming too.
Hmm.
It was one of those things, like when the quarterback made his 3-step drop, the receiver, when he was making this out, on the third step of his out, Montana was already throwing the ball. He
Yeah.
was already throwing the ball because he knew where he was going to be. The Walsh, it was like watching poetry. It was so good, and it was pass heavy. It was short pass. Whereas Kyle has always led with the run to set up the pass. Walsh would use the short passing game to set up the run.
Hmm.
That was one of the funnest things out of him. You would always see, tiny little wheel routes with the fullback and the tailback in the offense, especially when it was, especially the Roger Craig and Wendell Tyler era of the offense.
Hmm.
Both backs they ran lots of crossing combinations, and Roger Craig ran a lot of stuff out of the backfield, even as a fullback, because they ran a lot of 2-back sets.
Hmm.
And they use the fullback a lot. So if you were going to say what is comparable, that would be that Walsh was heavy with using the fullback, and for the longest time the Niners. I mean, between Craig playing fullback, then Rathman playing fullback. We've had Fred Beasley over the years.
Hmm.
We've had lots of we had bar none. I mean, we've had lots of really good fullbacks in this organization over the years.
Bruce
And
Miller.
I think, yeah, I mean, it's nuts. But that would be the thing. I mean, I think that's the biggest difference is Walsh was pass to set up the run. Kyle is run to set up the play action. I think
Hmm.
that's the biggest polarizing difference between the two.
That's interesting. I actually didn't know that. I actually have the stats right here. I said Bill Walsh was number one. It's George Seifert actually with 98 wins. Bill Walsh was 92, and then Shanahan was 72. So
Oh, what's Seifert from? Okay, yeah,
yeah,
because Walsh only coached 10.
yeah. Seifert. I don't know how long was Seifert the coach for, estimately.
Are those his Niner wins only, or are those his career wins? Because he went to Carolina after that.
This is most wins in 49ers history. This was by
Okay, so
Eric
is it?
Branch on Twitter, so I think this is
Yeah.
Niner wins.
I mean, those teams, 89 to 94, I don't think they had a season where they lost, gosh, more than, I can't, four
They just didn't
games.
win, basically, or they didn't
It
lose.
did lose. No,
Yeah.
and they're always so good. Even when Joe went to Kansas City in '94. I mean, they lost that game, and they still had a rough season, but
Yeah.
they were so good. And it's tough when you're someone my age and you've seen the peak to the toilet with the pre-Harbaugh run there.
Yeah.
That was such a, the post, what, mooch up to Harbaugh,
Hmm.
and
It was
then
bad. It was ugly.
from the gap from Harbaugh to Kyle, riding through the Chip Kellys and the Tom Sulas, and it's tough because, I mean, this franchise, especially for longtime fans like myself, we were spoiled at quarterback for 20 years
Yeah.
between Montana, Young, and even Jeff Garcia. Guys
Mhm.
that don't get Jeff Garcia. I don't understand why he's not thought of in a much higher regard in 49er lore. I mean, that oh God, what year was that? Was that 99 or something like that, or 97, when um, when they came back from 38, point, they were down against the Giants in the playoff game, and Jeff Garcia marched them back. And
Mm-hmm.
it was, it was one of the coolest playoff games in 49er history.
Yeah. I think that's why the media or just 49ers fans are so harsh on quarterbacks, because they've had the luxury of having 3 great quarterbacks like that. And I think I just remember when the 49ers signed Jimmy G in that 5 game span, I was like, am I experiencing like what you guys all felt back in the day? And it was like that for a little bit, but it's something interesting. You don't see that in every fan base because they don't have the luxury of seeing greatest of all times being on your team.
Well, yeah, and when we went from Joe to Steve, that was hard because it was hard for a lot of people because I mean Joe was so beloved by the organization.
Yeah.
And it was tough because while he was out, what happens in '92 while Joe's out? Steve Young wins the MVP.
Mm.
I mean, a first of 3. What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
He came back, and I remember because the Monday night game, right, the Monday night game when Joe played his last game in San Francisco against Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
That when Montana came out in that second half, I'm telling you right now, every 49er fan that was probably there was probably everybody was crying because they knew it was the end. They knew it was the last time you were going to see Joe, line up in a 49ers uniform. It was crazy. I'm actually getting welled up thinking about it now. It's kind of funny, but it was wonderful to watch him come out and play fantastic, and then obviously have those 2 good years that he had in Kansas City.
Mm-hmm. Were you thinking that the Chiefs and the Niners were going to play in the Super Bowl that year in '94? Because I think the Chiefs were 1 win away from the NFC Championship. I think that year.
I thought it was possible because Joe was playing really, really well.
Mm-hmm.
He really was playing well. I mean, and he was playing with a team that wasn't anything close to what he was used to throwing to. I mean, I think what the heck was his number one? It was like J.J. Burden. It was like And what sucks is when I was a kid, we moved from California to New England when I think I was 13. Mm-hmm. So the only time I actually got to see Joe play live is when he was playing for the Chiefs. I live in New England, so I got to see him at the old Foxborough Stadium run in a preseason. So I only got to see I only got to see him play 2 series, but I got to see Joe Montana and Marcus Allen in the same backfield for 2 series. So it was funny. It's the only time I ever saw it, but it was a great experience.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I wish I was alive for that era. They always talk about it, but that's cool. That's a cool story, dude.
Plenty of it on YouTube. That's the greatest part. I mean, I know a couple months ago I watched the '84 Super Bowl because mm-hmm. I wanted to see I just wanted to look at the West Coast offense, and I just had it on fast forward and I was just watching it quick.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just great to see that because it was like the early Joe wasn't even really Joe yet. '84, he was still kind of. I mean, obviously they'd won their second Super Bowl, but it was those last 2 Super Bowls that he played in where he was just electric. He was electric.
Yeah. No, I love me and my dad. He used to record like all the Super Bowls because they'd be like on NFL Network, so we watched them when I was little and stuff. And I just love like the football lives. Have you ever watched those? Those are so great. But yeah, one time my dad has a couple like VHSs from like the Niners. So I don't know, this is like the 80s or something like that. And so I just popped it in. I was like watching, I was like, dang, it's so cool to see how like the Bill Walsh offense and the Kyle Shanahan offense just looks so connected. Cause there's like, oh my gosh, it's like the jet sweep that we ran to Debo and they're running that to Jerry Rice or whatever, John Taylor or something like that.
So that Kyle's dad was our offensive coordinator in '94, right?
Yeah, Mike Shanahan.
And Mike has taken some of the the West Coast concepts and used. I mean, his running game's way more. It's not like West Coast centric per se, but a lot of his principles and stuff like that are West Coast.
Yeah, it's cool, and it's so funny too when they see like the whole. Was it like quarterback, head coach, just coaching trees of like everything down from Bill Walsh, Mike Shanahan, Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, Matt LaFleur. It's just funny. It's like it's such a almost nepotism almost going on, in the NFL. And you see that. And John Gruden's not, I guess, nepotism, but just so much minds, and they're all.
But when you see those guys too, because you go Andy Reid, John Gruden, and stuff like that, and all of a sudden you're at Steve Mariucci, you're at why can't I think of? Coach. It's nuts though. It's when you see how deep it is and how the concepts kind of run their way down.
Yeah, and everyone has their own little version of it, but it's good stuff. All right, well, 49ers 2-0 on the road this season. Gonna play the Cardinals week 3 in Santa Clara. I'm excited for it. Thank you guys for joining. Thank you, Rich, for the 49ers history as well. That was great.
Appreciate it, Cole, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, guys, make sure to follow Rich Bonsall on X and Instagram, or just X?
Just X. My Instagram
X.
is, if you go on my X, all you're gonna see is my Instagram. All you're gonna see is a bunch of pictures of my Volkswagen. You'll see my Volkswagen Bug. It's got a 49er sticker on it, but
I was gonna ask you about it. Do you want to talk about like the backstory of that real quick before we turn it off?
What's that? My Beetle? It's just that, look, when I got the car, it just happened to be bright red, and it just works out with the 49er colors.
Is that your everyday car?
No.
Okay.
That's the toy. I joke. I have 3 cars. I have the daily, the weekend, and the toy. That's the way I joke about them.
That's cool. All right, guys. Thanks again for watching, and go Niners. Stay faithful, baby. We'll talk to you guys later.
Stay faithful.
Touchdown!